A very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Voice, a live show for the first time in about 4 months, I think. Thank you for all joining me. And the person that's coming on, the co-host, I almost called him a guest, but he'd be upset at that. The co-host hasn't actually been on for about 8 months. So, we're both back. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to the West Ham Voice, Friday late night. And of course, the one thing that's dominating at the moment is whether we're going to survive staying in the Premier League or not. And who better to tell us all about that than he's not in his shed tonight. Good evening to you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Last time I saw you, we bumped into you. What was it outside? What ground? Brighton.
Was it Brian? Yeah, it was Brian.
Yeah, fleeting hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah, busy man.
Yeah, I know. God, yeah, you said it earlier on. I won't tell the viewers that you forgot about tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's how busy I
am. Let's go. Let's just say hello to the audience because it's been a while since I've said hello to people. Foxes, he's got a little, there you go, little circus there. And we're going to talk about the board. I'm sure we are. Our transfers should have been done by now. Good evening to you, Robin. How are you? Sean, how are you? Not that one. Not that Sean.
No. You can tell the weather's so bad. There's been a disturbance. It's because he's back in the country.
He's been away again, hasn't he?
Yeah.
God, that's what love does, isn't it?
Yeah. Rich. Yeah. Mr. Albuquerque. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, look at that. But he's not able to be with us tonight.
I'm sure.
But no worries, mate. But thank you for the message. Ibrahim, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Great film. It was a great film. Stephen, how are you, mate? Back on the West Ham Voice. Thank you very much indeed. Good evening to you, Philip. How are you? 8 wins, 2 draws, and safety it is. We'll talk about that later. Harry, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Mr. Laurie, glad you're back tonight. Thank you very much. I've noticed on the official West Ham website, Sullivan has told him White that if
probably
QPR
Jim White, I'm guessing.
Oh, Jim White just told Jim White that we'll talk about Nuno in a minute. Jack, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Next season, the tour of Wales, absolutely. That's something to look forward to. Darren, evening to you as well.
There's one.
What?
There's one thing to look forward to. We've only got to get another 9.
I've written them down. Actually, I actually, after you said to me, I'm going to get actually all of you. When we were talking about, what we're going to talk about on the show, etc. Nigel said, think of the 10 things to look forward to when we're playing in the Championship next season. We'll finish the show off with that, shall we? Because I've actually got 10 things, but Wales ain't one of them. Yeah. Fuck that, is it? No, actually, Wales is all right. Not on a rainy day, though. Graham, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Brendan, how are you, mate? Yeah, it was late. That weren't my fault. That this time round, but we won't talk about
someone else's fault. I've got 2 engrossed with the Dortmund. We just had 2 goals in the Dortmund-Frankfurt game.
Oh, so yeah.
I've got a bit engrossed. Dortmund went 2-1 up, happy days, and then Frankfurt, within 3 minutes, got an equaliser.
You're into the German football, aren't you? Actually, whilst we talk about German football, what do you think of Callum Marshall having gone to Bochum in the second division?
Well, funny enough, I've just booked a trip to Germany in March. And it may be, I know our good friend EB, maybe Bochum now, maybe on the agenda.
On the agenda.
We shall see. It's a Bundesliga 2, former Bundesliga 1 team, but Bochum. I don't know. It'll be interesting, really, to see. He's a fox in the box type player.
Yeah,
and they're not. Go and look around the Premier League and find a Tony Cottee type striker that feeds off a big man. They're not there.
Let's start with that. Let's start with the players that are leaving and have left, because he's gone to Bochum. Earthy now is going back to Bristol City.
Yep.
God, I had them listed. I had a couple of players listed. We've got several players who've gone out on loan, young players, and it's right though, isn't it? Because we know that Wilson is almost definitely going. James Ward-Prowse and Mads Hermansen have been told they can go and find new clubs. Guilherme is gone.
Here's the strange thing about this. You know me, I don't advocate changing managers and everything else, but with the poor run of form and with the continuation of, or if there's bad performances, if there is a continuation of that, is that at some point they're going to pull the trigger. Now, the strange thing about it, those that listen to the podcast I did Wednesday night would have heard me say it, is that if we're within touching distance, I'd maybe be tempted to pull the trigger. Say come the end of February, say
I'll pull the trigger on
Nuno. If the performances are still bad, but say by hook or by crook we've got within four points of Nottingham Forest. Yeah, by hook or by crook, because they could have a bad run and we could nick a win and then we're within 4 points.
Before you know it,
then maybe it's worth the gamble of pulling the trigger. If by the end of February we're 7 or possibly more points cut adrift, there's no point in changing. You keep Nuno. The problem that I see, and it comes back to these players going and leaving and whatever, is Potter had made the decisions on Creswell and Kufal. Yeah, out you go. September, Potter's gone. Boy, we could do with Kufal and Creswell now. So therefore, when there's so much cloud hanging up, and this is the bit I don't get, and they're making the same mistakes again, there is a cloud hanging over the manager. How can you continue blindly letting them dictate what the playing staff is going to be in the future when their future is
well, this is the question I asked before the transfer window opened. You know, I said if they're going to, you know, I guess no one thought. Let's all be really, really genuinely honest. I don't think any of us thought we'd be this much in the mire with Nuno. I don't think anyone thought that we may still be struggling, but to now be 7 points adrift, I don't think anyone saw that coming. I thought we were going to get a little bit of a bounce with him. And,
was you at Everton? That was his first game.
All right. Yeah, that was the first game I missed.
That wasn't a bad performance, and we could have nicked that at the end. Fun enough, and you think, well, here we go. Then there was a few defeats. Then we had the games with Newcastle, Burnley, and you think, blimey, we turned the corner here, because Newcastle, you didn't know. I know they weren't winning and whatever, but you never knew what was going to happen with Newcastle. Yeah. And the Burnley game, you know, must win, and he did. And you think, this is it. We're going to be kickstarted. And since then, it's been nothing.
Yeah.
The weird thing about it, you know, we were at the games last season at the end, where going away was you know, we saw the Arsenal win, we saw the Man United win, obviously we had the Ipswich win. You know, our last 3 or 4 wins in the Premier League came away from home, and we've lost that. We weren't winning home games, and we've lost the ability now. We've lost that away game performances that brought it out of us.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I don't get. There is such a cloud over. There's a lot of these people coming out going, oh, he's gone after this game, he's gone after that game. Well, he's not, is he? So I don't know. I hear so many things. I hear a lot, and I get sent a few things, and it's difficult really to get what they're really thinking.
There was a point made here. Now I've heard about this podcast about there was an article in KUMB and then Bob Moore podcast talked about it, where there's apparently some ex member of staff of Potter's has sort of told all the secrets that's been going on, and that Potter was told, you've got to get rid of all these old players and you've got to do this. I don't know if you've seen it or read it.
No.
And he apparently Potter was told, this is what you've got to do, you know. And apparently there was a discourse between the board, you know, someone at the board wanted him to go and get younger players, you know, the players that you develop and sell for a fortune. And another member of the board apparently told him, no, we want European football, and you've got to go out and buy all the Kilmans and all that sort of stuff. You don't know what to believe. Now, I asked our friend Sean, and he told me it's a load of bollocks, that, you know, all this stuff that's coming out, there's not much truth in it. But then you never know when Sean speaks, you never know if he's actually telling you a story, a yarn or not.
Yeah, but the thing about this, yeah, is without going off on a tangent, is people are played to whoever's telling them information's agenda. Let's get this right, yeah. Sean doesn't generate information; he gets told it, and he gets told it from a certain point of view, and he just puts it out verbatim. A senior source says this.
Yeah,
he's not putting what he thinks on it. He's just saying what he's been told.
He's repeating.
Yeah, you know. All ITKs, not one ITK really generates information. They have to be told that information.
Exactly.
ITKs are not on the inside of the club. They're being told something by someone on the inside of the club, and that someone generally has an agenda. So there'll be, you know, generally you might find that they'll brief, first port of calls to brief the real journalists, not the phony ones.
Yeah.
Or the pretend ones, or the plastic ones, or whatever they want to be. Yeah. But there'll be, but there's so many facets now, yeah, to what goes on in the club. You got the management, yeah, you got the agents, you got the people that run the clubs, you got the owners of the clubs, each with their own agenda and their own justifications, and they will be friendly with their own set of people who would put out information. And that's why it's hard to cut through. Yeah.
Yeah. What the real truth is.
What the real truth is. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And so I mean, so when I heard about that, so when we're talking about players going, you know, because it's right that someone pointed out in the chat, you know, about the Creswells and the Soufals. Apparently Potter was told, you got to get rid of all these older players. Well, look, but we've all known.
I couldn't believe that though. Let's just take that another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there is theory to that in a way, yeah, because we all go, yeah, we love Soufal and he can run through on Creswell. Creswell's 35.
Well, this is exactly what I was going to say. You know, how long have we been moaning about how old the squad is?
And this is the thing. The reason why we're in this situation is because for the past 3 or 4 years, and it goes back to Moyes. It's not. I'm not going to sit here and defend him on everything. Yeah. We were allowed to run the oldest average age in the top 3 every season of the oldest average age in the Premier League. So I didn't retire, and I weren't sacked either. You know that. It's right. Exactly we had to regenerate. It's right that we had to do that.
Absolutely. And this is what I'm confused by. Now it's become a rod for someone's back because we allowed all these aged players to leave. And yet the argument in the fan base for a long time has been, we've got the oldest squad in the Premier League. We've probably got one of the youngest squads in the Premier League, or we're not doing too badly. When you think about a lot of the youngsters that have been used, the academy players that the players that we bought, etc. All of a sudden, there's a youthful look to this squad, and so maybe the problem was that we got rid of too many of those players in one go. You know, we allowed Antonio to leave, with Creswell, Soufal, and a number of others, and all of a sudden, the nucleus of the squad was gone, and it takes time, doesn't it, to replace those players. And when it comes to the academy players, you know, someone said it's a tall order to ask for the academy players to fill the gaps that were left by these established players. So I mean, being a bit cheeky by saying, are the academy players good enough? They probably are, but not just yet. They need the time out on loan, don't they?
The funny thing about it is, I was talking with someone in the week, and from my point of view, and this is the thing is, thank God our academy in the last few years has been as good as it has.
Yeah.
Because by Jove, next season, if what happens that we all think will happen, and relegation,
we're going to need them.
Then how great is it that we can build a team around a lot of the academy players? Because if you look at it, the funny thing is, I wouldn't get rid of Hermansen, because I actually think he might come in handy next season.
Championship goalie.
Yeah. Well, he won the title, did he not, with Leicester?
Well, it crossed my mind. Yeah. He's a good championship goalie.
No. So therefore, if you look at the boy I like is Ezra Moyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's not received a lot of plaudits, but every time he comes on the pitch, the boy never puts a foot wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got Ollie Scholes as well, who has stood up. And I wouldn't even say since the Fulham mistake, because I don't think it was a mistake. Yeah, it wasn't on him. That Fulham
I like
goal.
Scholes. I've got to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm not sure if Scholes is a starter. But I like him.
The thing about Scholes is he's not really. He's a defender more than going forward.
Yeah.
If you get me.
If you ask him to just do the left back role,
yes,
only that, and that's not overlapping and all that. The old-fashioned.
So in a 4-4-2, it'd be brilliant, because he'd have the left winger in front of him to give him a bit of backup.
Yeah,
and he can work on. But what he ain't Creswell, who was absolutely brilliant. But at some point, Creswell had to go. The man was 35,
Yeah.
But the weird thing about it is, him and Kufal would have been great squad players.
Yeah,
as long as they were happy to be that. And that's the thing. If not, off they go then. Well, at the end of the day, off they go. It's that situation is a strange one, that the club have allowed that to fester in the way it has. The JWP with the Wall Press.
And I kind of, JWP is another thing. I mean, we also heard, haven't we, that he's isolated.
Yeah.
But this is deja vu, Nigel. How many of the previous managers have we heard? We heard it about Moyes, we heard it about Lopetegui, we heard it about Potter, and now we're hearing it about Nuno, that they all isolated players. I remember talking about Moyes when he was in charge and saying apparently he's not speaking to this player, he's ignoring that player. The truth of the matter is, managers have favourites, whether you like it or not. Managers think that certain players will do a job for them and certain others won't. And they're going to go with that, aren't they? And it doesn't surprise me necessarily that when the manager decides whether a player is going to be part of their squad or not, that is, if they're part of it, he's going to communicate with them. If they're not, he's going to focus his time more on the players that he wants. Right or wrong is irrelevant. That's a manager's decision, isn't it?
Yeah, look. The problem is we're bringing managers in, and when you bring a manager in like that, you got to back them, and you got to run with them. But there does become a point where there is a slight sense of madness in the way that West Ham do it, and this is why the press are really starting to pick it apart. So what you get a situation is you got Lopetegui comes in, and he buys players. Yeah, brings in a few players. Only lasts 6-7 months. So they bring him in. They give Potter 2 windows. Yeah, the January, but he can't really do a lot in the January, can he? Because he's just come into the club. He ain't got a feel for the club, so he can't say, "Oh, we need this, we need that." So he gets the summer, and then a month later he's gone. We allow him to buy the players.
Well, this is our problem, isn't it?
And then we sack him in the September. So what we're now looking at, the point where we've just spent 50 million on 2 Nuno players. Yeah.
And what if he goes at the end of the month?
Well, if he's gone by the end of February, what have they just done? It is,
Yeah.
and the old thing, and madness is doing the same, the same
Over and
thing
over.
over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah, and this is the board. This is why I totally get the whole thing about people having problems with the board, because we should have got a director of football. Maybe we got the wrong one. Who knows? But we should have got a we should have got someone overseeing. Let me rephrase. We should have
What?
got
No,
someone.
but and this is this is where I go, and I can feel the wrath of the some section of the fan base now. Yeah,
Yeah,
this club was destabilised a few weeks after we won the trophy
yeah,
because they brought Stein in it. So here's a man, David Moyes. Yeah,
yeah,
two
yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
seasons. One not so, but funny enough, the not so actually ends in the best outcome in 42 years. Yeah. So you have that situation, and West Ham's go and hire Steiden. The total antithesis of how Moyes likes to
Moist
manage.
works. Yeah,
Yeah. So by doing that, you're going to upset that man. So what you're
yeah,
saying is, actually, Dave, thanks for doing that, but we don't like the way you're doing it. So we're going to bring a man in who's going to do it for you over your way. At the
yeah,
end of the day, he ain't going to put up with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you have that fallout. So then they go, right. So West Ham decide we're going to go down the Steiden route. But what do? They don't go and hire a German manager or hire the managers that Steiden picks out.
They keep Moyes on.
No, they, I'm saying, so they do the season, yeah, the last season. Let Moyes run down his contract, and at that point, they don't replace Moyes with a Steiden manager to work that system.
I've got you. Sorry. Yeah,
They
yeah,
go and get Lopetegui, who is different to the way that Steiden operates. And this is a mad game. Sorry, I've just seen in the 91st minute Frankfurt go 3-2 up, and thank fuck Dortmund have just equalised in the 95th minute. 3-3. It's just like I was just a bit doom and gloom like 4 minutes ago, and now Dortmund have just equalised. So anyway, back in the room.
yeah.
We go down the road. They get Lopetegui. So then you have all the fallout there from that mess of a transfer window as such, because you had Lopetegui wanting his players, wanting to deal with his people. You had Steiden wanting his players, and then you had Sullivan being briefed by his silky agents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it becomes like a shit fest.
His silky and salty agents.
Well, yeah. So anyway, it becomes a shit. It becomes the shit fest, doesn't it?
Yeah. Which is, and this has been the problem. This is the irony of West Ham. It's funny because I remember when Steiden was brought in, and I remember being cock a hoop saying, we're finally getting West Ham going into the 21st century of the way they do football. But we don't see things through, do we, Nigel? That's the thing.
No, but then in a way, they could have got the wrong man, because what they've done is everybody looked over at Leverkusen and went, of course, Steiden's come from Leverkusen. They done bloody well. Not realising, well, he wasn't running the show at Leverkusen.
Steiden who was running the show.
The reason he left Leverkusen was because they overlooked him to be the top.
It was Ebbe, because I remember it was Ebbe, our friend from Germany, who messaged me at the time, like, I think just after Steiden got sacked, and he went, look into, I can't remember the other chap's name that got promoted, and he went, look into so-and-so's name. He's the man behind Leverkusen, and I didn't have a clue who this guy was. So I looked at it, and I've done a couple of shows about it, and thanks to Ebbe, it kind of opened my eyes a bit. So I started criticising Steiden, not just for the sake of it, but I started saying exactly what you just said. Steiden wasn't the brains behind Leverkusen, and it was quite an eye opener, So, but this is us through and through. If there's anyone, like, we go and get ourselves a Basque country manager, we get the worst one. We get Lopetegui.
Well, I don't know.
We go and get ourselves a director of football. We get not necessarily.
But you say we got the worst one. I disagree. Look, Iriola's not having a great season at Bournemouth, is he? Compared to what he is, he's falling back. Lopetegui managed the Spanish national team and only got sacked because they discovered he was going to Real Madrid after the World Cup. So they went, right, now you're not going to the World Cup. Yeah. So, do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there Colin says get a DOF in. I don't know if it really works with a DOF. Funny enough, I could think sometimes you think the best DOF would be an ex-football agent, yeah, maybe an ex-football agent that used to be a footballer, yeah, that's mates with the owner, and that he actually, because he will know players.
You trying to get Silkman a permanent job at West Ham?
I'm just saying. Here's a bloke that has been in football all his life. Yeah, he knows football inside and out. If you're going to get a director of football, you're better off with someone like that.
Yeah, yeah. At
Because
least he's
the
got the
director of
official
football
title.
needs to be able to pick players and move people in and move people out.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got
He's right there. Actually, there was a quote there. That one there.
Yeah, it started the next day when Sullivan said he would sell rice.
The day the undermining of this football club. Now, I could also argue seeds were sown. Fulham away when we beat them 1-0 and Moyes out banner was unfurled.
Oh, the Moyes out banner
before the final. Yeah,
I was at that. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Well, I was standing next to the Moyes out boys, and they decided, you know, and the reason why I say that is because Moyes looked at that banner.
Yeah,
as
he walked past
off
and
the
looked
pitch.
at it. Yeah, as if to say, "What is it you want?"
Yeah, we've just won 1-0. All right, it, you know, whatever. But here's a funny thing, in it, you know, what we want and what a football club can achieve. Fans always want more than clubs can achieve, unless you're supporting Man City. But then again, Man City fans are going to be underwhelmed this season.
Every season, yeah.
You know, it's the word years ago was, "Are we going to progress?" Well, as I said at the time, progression is a dirty word for me, because at some point progression will end, and I feel a lot of fans didn't really enjoy the time that we were having.
Yeah.
Because boy, now are we feeling it?
Yeah, we are, and it's. I'm going to link that to a question that someone asked me. What you think if we go down? Will we go into administration?
Not necessarily. No. The value, if say the value of West Ham halves, yeah, then bear in mind what administration means and everything. If the value of West Ham halves, on the book it'll probably drop down to like 300-400 million. Yeah. When you look at what was paid for it, it's still pie in the sky, isn't it? Will the ownership? Will the owners be willing to put in? I think because of the riches of the Premier League, let's face it, they could afford to run this club for a year or 2 years, taking the parachute money, putting money into the club. I think after 2 seasons, if they're not back in the Premier League, I think there's a problem there. And I think definitely if we go down, Sullivan still will ride it out in the first year.
Yeah, this is the other thing that, look, I didn't want to talk about the protests, and I can't. I won't lie. I'm trying to keep away from them. Not just. I just think, you know, it's too big it's too big an issue to be able to try and talk. I don't want to say sensibly about it, but try and talk reason. You know, because there's always two sides to every sort. I'm not against the protests. Don't get me wrong.
Well, you know, I'm personally involved, so
I know you are. I know that's why you're biting your lip. Because
I'm happy to. I'm happy to. I see both sides of the coin.
Yeah. Well,
I did not boycott the Brentford game.
Right.
Yeah.
As an example, and that's what got me in a lot of stick with a lot of viewers. A lot of viewers who have left the channel because I turned around and said I'm not boycotting the Brentford game. And I got a lot of stick saying, "Whoa, you can't, you know, you're not a real fan," and all that shit and all that bollocks. That was a point I was going to make, and I agree.
I chose to boycott the Forest game though instead. Is that right?
Cop out.
I actually said to one of the, you know, at the top brass there that it's a pity he didn't really call for a boycott for the Forest game.
For the Forest game,
that would have been a win-win.
There was fucking no one there anyway. You know? But I agree with the principle, but it's you know, the protests at this time, people are now beginning to question: is it right to carry on with the protests given the predicament we're in? And I guess many will say, well, when's the right time? You know, When's
Yeah,
there ever a right
look,
time?
and that's the thing. The thing that is that I would say to that is that this is a protest against the ownership of the football club, and everybody's got their own reasons. You know, I'm not protesting because we're in the bottom three. Yeah, I'm protesting because of this has been brought back. Um, you know, this has been ongoing. I feel like a professional protester. Um, I've been against them. I've been protesting against this ownership since near enough
Well
the day they
before,
bought the club.
yeah, well before
Yeah,
we moved to
since
the new
2010.
stadium. and everything. Yeah,
So
yeah.
I've been protesting against this ownership, and you know, the mess we're in now is. I'm not trying to blow. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet or whatever. Yes, I did predict this. I could have been wrong. Yeah, West Ham probably had the ability to prove me wrong, but they didn't. They proved me right. So I got lucky. Yeah, what I feared to happen rather than what I predicted has happened. And that's why I protest, because until they leave, this club will never move on. The fan base will be forever split until they leave, because they're the people that put us in that stadium.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Paul Coven.
Yeah,
Okay, let's give a scenario.
yeah,
If Sullivan finally says, "All right, fine," you know,
yeah,
Kretinsky turns around and goes, "I'm cashing in. I'm going."
yeah.
Sullivan turns around and says, "All right, fine. You have your wish. I'm going." We sell the club, or they sell the club,
Mm-hmm.
and we get a bunch of owners in. Let's say because we know we're West Ham, we won't get owners like, I don't know, like who owns Liverpool, for example,
We'll
or
get
Man
American
City.
owners next, in
We'll
my
get
opinion.
American owners, absolutely
Yeah,
100%. But we won't get owners who are run the likes of Man City, run
no,
it really well,
it'll
and
be a
so on.
hedge fund. Yeah,
It'll be spot on. We'll get owners
yeah,
like those who manage, who own Man
yeah,
United,
yeah.
and run us into the ground
Mm.
financially. Now, what if that happens? Okay, and I'm not saying better the devil you know, but
No,
what if that happens? We got the protests win.
listen.
You know, we've got these, we've got the current, we've got
Yeah,
Sullivan out. Now, there's a lot of people that say only because it's Sullivan, and that then sounds it stops being about the club. It sounds personal,
it
like it's
is.
just about one individual. Is
Yeah,
that
it
what it
is.
is? It is,
For,
right. So
yeah,
we've got to
it,
be clear on that. So it really
listen.
is about.
They are the people that made claims that I said at the time they can't deliver. Yeah, and they, in their way, fought against me and put things out there to try and counter, or very cleverly, yeah, to counteract those. And it weren't just me. There was quite a few others were saying it's not going to be like that. Football's not like that. They sold people a dream. I wouldn't say about
Yeah,
promises. They
yeah.
sold people a dream that they could not turn into reality, and they failed to look at that. Yeah, and that's why they need to leave. They're the people, because at the end of the day, I'm not going to celebrate when we leave, and the reason for that is because this ain't the football club anymore that was
Mhm,
there. Yeah,
mhm.
guess what? When we leave, we're still in that stadium. And when the new owner come in, he's not going to walk into West Ham sitting in a 60,000 seat stadium and think, I know what I need to do. I need to reconfigure this stadium. Yeah, he's not going to pay that much money. The weird thing is, there's, depending on what what mood I'm really in, after 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 the Forest game, I was in a let's let the club crash and burn type mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, where
Mhm.
let's see how low we can go to make them move out of that stadium.
Will they though, Nigel?
Right.
You know,
Well,
you've just said, and I agree with you that if we go down, Sullivan ain't go.
yeah.
A lot of fans are.
But what if we go again to League One? Because
Oh,
it's been done.
oh well,
City went,
well,
Sunderland went,
yeah, yeah.
Leeds went. Did Villa not go? I can't remember if Villa went
I don't
League
think
One.
they
I
went
don't
that
think they.
far down, but
Right. But the other president I then cling to, that if that happens, is I then look, I had a discussion recently on the podcast where I pointed out there were 2 Olympic stadiums that have had football in Europe. They are the Munich Olympic Stadiums of '74 and the Barcelona Olympics of '92. Both had football clubs move into them after the Olympics. Bayern Munich after '74, and Espanyol in after the '92 Olympics. Both now no longer host football, though the Barcelona Olympic Stadium just hosted football. That was to allow Barcelona to redevelop the new camp. So therefore, it only took 20 years for Espanyol to leave the Barcelona Olympic Stadium, and it took Bayern Munich 30 years to leave the Munich Stadium. So therefore, we've done 10 already. You know, give it a few more years. Who's to say that when with 20,000 rattling around that stadium, a different ownership may think, do you know what? The fan base is so bad. The only way to get them back is to get another stadium.
Do you honestly, seriously think that a new owner will come in and go, yeah, we'll go and find ourselves a new stadium?
But the Munich one is a bit different, yeah, because
But there was a plan to do that, Nigel.
Well, I don't know, no, but the stadium was built obviously for the 2006 World Cup in Germany. So there's a bit of Germany needed better stadiums for the World Cup. Munich was chosen, so and remember, a lot of football stadiums are municipal in Germany as well. So the stadium was built, you know, and it was originally grand share with TS 1864 whatever, 1864 Munich, TSV 1864 Munich, who we beat in the European Cup Winners' Cup final. Funny enough, they since moved back, I think, to their old ground because that stadium was too big for them. Yeah, it's now just Bayern Munich Stadium, not shared.
Right.
Espanyol. Why did Espanyol move out of the Olympic Stadium? Because the fan base didn't want it anymore. Yeah, they moved into a small. Why did Juventus knock down the Del Apoli or whatever they called the stadium and build a smaller stadium? Because they didn't want the running track anymore.
But there's the difference, Nigel. They're listening to their fans. There's dialogue.
So therefore, a new ownership may get to that situation.
Okay.
Me and Jay had a conversation the other day where we then discussed where we could build stadiums, and that becomes a different kettle of fish because the problem, you know, Munich had the whole of Munich to build a stadium in. West Ham's only got West Ham, in my opinion, to build a stadium.
Move to Essex.
Well, you can't do that, can you? Because you might as well call yourself Essex United, then, haven't you? West Ham for me has to be in Newham.
I agree, but if a new owner may turn around and go, fair enough, I'm going to build you a new stadium. I'm going to build it where it's the most appropriate place.
Well,
and a large core of our fan base is,
they could do, they could.
MK Dons, you know, when they moved from Wimbledon and moved to Milton Keynes, you know, now would you change the name? That will be the end of West Ham if you change the name.
Yeah, but, I mean, I suppose you could argue that West Ham is the team of East London. We're lucky in a way where we are. And the reason why we've got such a big fan base is because if you look at other areas of London, you know, our North London's got Tottenham and Arsenal. You know, look at West London. West London. Who would have thought QPR would be the fourth team in West London?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it was always Chelsea and QPR, Chelsea and QPR. Now you got Fulham and Brentford in the Premier League with Chelsea, all within each other. You know, QPR, Fulham and Chelsea, and all we've got is Orient on our doorstep in East London. You know, it's such a wide area. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the fan base would be more, for me personally, West Ham has to stay in West Ham. Well, No, not West Ham, because obviously there's East Ham as well. So West Ham needs to play. And obviously I have to say that, people, because Upton Park was in East Ham.
In East Ham. This is on the assumption. This is on the assumption that we get owners, if Sullivan sells, that we get owners in who are going to be willing to listen.
Well, yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know.
This is the thing. So I go back to that question again. It's like, what if any new ownership is worse than what?
So what do you do then? Still, do you just?
I really genuinely don't have an answer. I don't know the answer. And it's not about me.
But you can't continue down this path. Yeah, we're 10 years into this stadium. Yeah, and every year it gets worse there. It don't get better. Yeah, they've had 10 years, and what's finally being unpicked is the deal of the century, as Barry Earn coined it. Yeah, is what holds the club back, because we don't. The thing about people building bigger stadiums is not only to get the more people in, it's to get the money off those people as well. Tottenham's, Tottenham built a 60,000 seater stadium, not only to get the ticket money, but to get the income,
everything that goes with
the
it.
30, 40, 50 quid that each fan spends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That goes with it.
That goes with it. Well, guess what? We don't get that, do we?
No, this is it. This is it. It's a deal that's looked good on paper, but not overall. And I remember asking that question a little while back, saying, has anyone ever done the analysis of how much money we were earning at the Boleyn with all the income from food and drink and you name it. And there were enough people actually drinking in the boat, even though it was murderous to get a drink, but there were enough people drinking inside the stadium, and earning money and eating and all that. And whereas now,
David Sullivan's own figure, when this was asked prior to the move, how much extra income would move into the Olympic Stadium, put in West Ham's pocket? And his answer back in 2013, I believe, was £15 million.
What, a year?
Yep.
And that ain't nowhere near that. Additional to what we were getting.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is the thing. One of my arguments is that you've got teams with smaller stadiums outperforming us. So it doesn't. So to be successful in the Premier League, it's not about the size of your stadium. It's about the way you run the football club.
Yeah. Well, you've got Bournemouth, 11,000 seater stadium.
Yeah, they made a short-term decision that affected the long-term future of this club, and they threw it away. That's what they did. They took that £35 million, gave 15 million of it to the Olympic people. I think put another 15 million paid down the debt and used 5 million for other to sell that football club, of that football ground. Sorry, that's what they did.
A lot of people keep asking this question. Can the seat can it be reconfigured?
I spoke about this, funny enough, the other day on the podcast. This is something I said we need to look at. Because the Premier League rules state that the reason why we've maxed out how far the seats can be moved is to do with the roof. Yeah, because the roof has to be cover all the pit seats. Yeah,
right.
Now, what I remember saying at the time was, I think that's a Premier League rule. Because
really?
I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm pretty sure Gillingham.
What was the last game I got soaked?
You still get wet. The fact that the roof covers the seats, what you got to remember is the roof's 150 foot in the air still. So when the wind blows, it'll blow the wind.
It'll blow straight at you, like it did at Bournemouth, and I got absolutely drenched.
Where was you at Brighton still? Because I was row A, and I was absolutely drenched. Yeah. To the point that whoever was supposed to be sitting next to me stood at the back. They didn't even want to brave it. So you're going to get threat. But when you look up, we're level with the roof line. So it covers it. But
so the
Gillingham,
rule is you've got to cover sorry?
Gillingham.
Yeah.
Now, I know Gillingham has got an open seating terrace.
Okay.
So therefore, in the EFL, that rule don't exist. So therefore, if we was in the EFL, could they move the seats further forward?
Ooh. Well, that's one golden. That's one advantage of
But
your
what
10.
happens, if they could move the seats further forward?
Well, what will happen? I don't think people will want because they'll be exposed.
Makes the gap even bigger because you
Oh,
can't
you've
move
said this
the upper
before
tier,
between
can
the
you?
upper tier and the lower tier.
The
Yeah, I
problem with that
remember probably the
stadium,
last show we did, you actually said the best thing to do is
push
to
the
move
seats
the
back
seats further back. Yeah.
and have the fan base.
Yeah.
Because and the reason I point that out is that one of the big things people go to me, well, you get a great atmosphere at the Berlin Olympic Stadium. Yeah, you do, because they've only got one tier. They've not got two tiers. They've got one tier that goes
So
all the way
in a
around.
way, in a roundabout way, it was probably better before they tried to reconfigure the seating behind the goals
Yeah.
and the side. It would probably better to have left them where they were.
And as I always say, this is another show yet, but people forget there was two bids. The first bid collapsed. The first bid did not have retractable seating. The first bid was based on sightlines as good as Wembley, Yeah. And it weren't until that bid collapsed after the bloke put in. I don't know if you heard. We did a podcast on it about a month ago, 2 months ago, where we covered the Olympic Stadium as best we could, and that is what occurred. That actually, and I've long believed that actually, that it'd have been better if the seats had been left further back. Because what you got to remember is
you would have had more of an atmosphere
there's
around.
only 20,000 seats in the lower tier. So therefore, 2/3 of the fan base, and this is the thing I did before the move, but 2/3 of the fan base are sitting outside of Upton Park.
Yeah, you said, before I remember that.
Yeah. So, that's it. And that's what it boils down to with the ownership and in a way with the protests for a lot of people. Listen, people are upset because people like me, a few of me and a few of my friends, we don't feel lied to because we never believed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So because we never believed it, I don't feel they lied to me. Yeah. But the people that believed it, the people that really wanted the move, you listen to Jay. Jay believed in the move.
Mm-hmm.
Then he gets there and, said to David Gold, they'll find you out the day they walk in that stadium. People may think I'm an idiot. I said it to him. People may think I'm an idiot now, but you'll be found out one day. And God help you that day when people realise. They are, and that's why people walked away in it, because they believed in it. They believed in it so much.
Yeah.
It was almost like night and day to people perceived me before the move and people perceived me after.
So let's talk about then because someone's asked about the stadium, what do you think will happen? How many fans are likely to go if we get relegated, etc. If we get relegated, a lot of the fan base will it almost goes into my list of 10 things that I think we would benefit from in the championship, but there'll be a lot less fans going.
Well, look, was there. I wasn't there. Yeah. So you was there against. Let's quickly do with that. You was there against Forest. I was watching it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like for you?
Half empty.
And what was it like inside the stadium? What did you think?
Dead.
All right. There you go.
It was. I mean, ironically, when I think about it, I'll tell a lie. It wasn't dead, because when we actually had our moments, the fans got behind the players.
Yeah.
But it was half empty, and the atmosphere wasn't sustained.
No.
But then again, even in a full stadium when we're not playing well, the atmosphere's not being sustained. But
No.
it was noticeable, and that's, I guess, is what we're going to get when we go. If we go, not when, if we go down.
So the Guardian came out and I said they must have been tipped off by someone in the club. Yeah, the club know, as those that don't listen to podcasts wouldn't have heard me say, I fit systems like this in buildings. The reason why when you walk into an office block, there's turnstiles in front of the lifts, ain't there for security, because you must look at it and think, oh, I can jump over those turnstiles. They're people counters, because they need to know how many people are in the building.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. So that's what we're going into the turnstile. It's as much as about counting the people in. They will know the exact amount of people inside that stadium. And they will know on kickoff. Mm. So therefore, for the Guardian to come out with their article the day after the game and say 34,000, someone inside the club has told them that.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's how many would have been there. 34,000, roughly. Yeah. That's, it'd be some shrapnel just below 35. But you could tell it was bad.
It was all, and I remember, I'll tell you how bad it was, because we were 25 minutes away from the stadium, and we said, shit, we better go, because usually we don't leave it till about, it was 25 past before the game kicked off. And we said, we better get into the stadium. And it was a 20-minute walk. We were in before kickoff, because not only did we, do a 10, 15-minute walk, but we got straight through security, and we got straight through the turnstiles. Now, usually through the main security at the front, that's going to take you a good 10 minutes, if not a bit more, just to get through security. We literally walked straight through that. And then when I got to my turnstile, Jay, no queue. It literally walked. It took. I was in time. I thought I was going to miss kickoff. I was in well in time, and that shows how few people there were. It was half full.
I got a better barometer. Yeah.
Go on.
So my man's drunk in Stratford all his life. Yeah. He drinks in the Grove near enough every night. He won't drink in there when West Ham's at home. It's just too busy. He went in there.
That's where we were on.
Yeah.
On
well, he went in there. Yeah. He went in the Grove. And when I spoke to him the day after, so when I spoke to him the day after, I said, where did you go? Did you go down Leytonstone? He said, no, I went in the Grove. He said, well, now the fans ain't going to home games. This is all right.
There you go. There you go.
So even the Grove, has lost the footfall.
Yeah, and if people don't know what the Grove is, it's the Wetherspoons. It's the nearest one to Stratford, and it's usually heaving.
He thinks I'm mad that I don't go in there, but my point of view is because I sit on the other side of the stadium. Yeah,
it takes a while to get from there to the stadium.
It's a 25 to 35-minute walk from the Grove.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah.
To there. And then I've still got to get all the way around the stadium to the other side to get in. No, I ain't doing it.
You know what we found out actually recently? But you don't know this.
What's that?
It don't matter what turnstile you're allocated to. You can get in into any turnstile.
For you, yeah. But I'm in the enclave, and because I've got the away supporters to my right, and I've got the prawn sandwich boys to my left. Yeah. So I can't get to my area.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I can only use turnstile C.
Oh, I see. Right. Oh, that's a shame. Well, I thought you could just get through anyone now, but
I can't. Well, I probably could get in the ground, yeah, but I couldn't get to my seat.
Couldn't get to your seat
because when the stadium first opened, blimey, when the stadium, there was one game I sat in every stand. It was the first season I wanted to see what it was like everywhere.
Right.
So I actually started off on the corner of where the Trevor Brooking and the Billy Bonds was with some mates. Spent 10 minutes with them. I then walked round to the Bobby Moore stand, sat in there, and then walked round to my seat in the West stand. and watch the second half from there. But after the Burnley game, they shut it all off, so I couldn't walk around.
They did. Let's get back to this then. So, what's your thoughts on? Can we? Let's go back. Can we survive? I know we've got 17 games left, 51 points to play for. You know, and we're going to talk about Nuno in a minute.
Yeah,
so,
all right, can we? Yes.
Will we?
All right, so let's put this quickly. Let's do the quickly barometer for those that don't listen. So the barometer, there's 2 barometers now. If you look at last season's results, the same teams what we've had now. So like for like games, replacing the promoted teams, replacing the relegated teams with promoted teams. Like for like, last season, 43 points. We're currently 5 points worse off. So if we match now, result for result, that what we got, then that would give us 38 points. Not enough to stay up, in my opinion, this season. We've stayed up with 35. I don't think 38 will keep you up. Is a worse barometer. If you take the first set of games against everyone this season, so the first 18 games, against each individual, 19 games against each individual opponent, West Ham only accumulated 13 points. Therefore, in the second round of games, we would need to double that 13 points to have a hope of staying up, 39 points. Now, here's the thing. So we would have to match the 13 we got and get an extra 13. With the Nottingham Forest defeat, we just lost 3 points because we beat them away. So if we match result of what we got, we're only looking at another 10 points.
Mm-hmm.
So we're on 21 games already. Now, the Brighton game, we matched because that was a draw away or draw at home. The Nottingham Forest game now, we lost 3 points. So the barometer, you're staring down the barrel. You got 17 games to achieve another. What are we saying we need? Another 26 points.
Mm. That's winning another 9 games. 9 games.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the thing. I've always said West Ham should aim to get over 42 points because we're the team that went down with 42.
With 42, yeah.
And that year we would have gone down with 44. If we'd have beat Birmingham, we still would have gone down, except it would have been on goal difference.
So what you're saying really is there's not much chance. It's going to take a miracle.
Well, look, Nottingham Forest could possibly, implode.
And Bournemouth could.
I'm not sure. Bournemouth just beat Spurs, didn't they? You know.
Okay. But Leeds, I don't think will implode. If there's any team that's going to, it's going to be Forest. So the fact that we're relying on one team that's just beaten us to implode seems to indicate that.
At one point when Leeds were winning, I was looking at the league table, and Leeds would have been 9 points above us. Yeah, they would have been 2 places, but 9 points above us. So you could basically have counted Leeds out. Mm-hmm. Leeds would have been closer to European football than they were to relegation. That's how tight the Premier League is. And that's the problem. That's why you're going to need 40 or more points, because what's happened is that the money that every team gets has finally concertinaed the league and made it so competitive. Mm-hmm. But what it also does now mean is that teams like us are possibly fallible of dropping out of the league. You just got to have one bad season and you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are saying Semenyo's now gone and Bournemouth could implode because of that. But
what's their starting point? How many points has Bournemouth got?
I don't know, to be honest. But
27?
Is it that many? I thought it was less than that.
I'll have a look now. Yeah. So let's have a look now. What points? So the table. So bottom of the table, obviously. Bournemouth 26 points.
26. You see,
Yeah.
in my mind,
From 21 games.
Yeah, in my mind, given that we're only on 14, it's that just sounds, and also the goal difference.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the question then, Nigel, is when we got Nuno, I'm not going to lie. I know the process. I know we always go for a manager that's out of work, and so on. And I won't lie. When we got Nuno, I was like, all right, I'm all right with him. I didn't have an issue with Nuno, whereas I would have been a bit hesitant about the way I was about Potter and Lopetegui. Actually, I'll tell a lie. Even when Potter came in, I thought, oh, the man that's going to use the youth. Only for us to realise he didn't want to use our youth. He didn't want to use anyone by the looks of it. But when we got Nuno, I kind of thought we're going to be all right this season, with him. Did you get that impression, or did you think from the start it was the wrong choice?
No, I mean, there was the strange anomaly that our only win that season
was against Nottingham Forest,
and our only clean sheet this season.
Yeah,
had come against his team. But the fact is, it was still early in the season. Nuno was outed from Nottingham Forest because of his dispute with the owner.
Yeah, the irony that he goes to an owner that he may not have a dispute with.
Well, yeah, but that's from that interference, the owner, the public berating on the pitch, and everything else. Yeah, so what he'd achieved in the previous season was Moyes-esque football. Yeah. He took Moyes ball, or we call it Moyes ball, but we know what it is. It's low block, catch him on the break, and he should have got Forest in the Champions League. They just fell apart at the end, as a lot of clubs in that situation do, though, because you don't have the squad. Yeah, you have the team, you have the 12, 13, you have a core of a team that can do it, but you haven't got the squad to achieve it. And generally that's why the Leicesters kept falling away when 2 years running, top four. At the end, would they finish fifth? I don't think Leicester would be in the situation they're in now if they'd finished in Champions League positions in those 2 seasons. Because they'd have got the Champions League money.
Yeah,
but they didn't, because the squad just fell at the last hurdle.
Yeah,
and we see it with Villa last season.
Yeah,
we see it with Newcastle. Newcastle haven't done 2 Champions League.
With us, we missed out on Champions League by 2 points, was it? And all right, we were in Europe, etc. But what a difference! Just one season in the Champions League.
We made more money getting knocked out in the quarter final of the UEFA Cup against Leverkusen than we did winning the
Europa.
Europa.
Yeah.
So, so in a way, you could see that we got rid of Moyes, we brought in Lopetegui. People weren't happy. Fan base weren't happy. People weren't happy. They went for Potter. Potter totally different, and then decided, well, fuck it, we might as well go back to Moyes ball. But I don't know what's happened. For me, obviously with the stats, I'd have to look it up again. But if you look at the amount of players that have made their debut since David Moyes has left the club, I think it's about 17 or 18 players have made their debut for the club in just a year and a half. And therein lies the problem, is that we've never had a settled team.
It's a churn, isn't it?
Change. Yeah, it's a churn.
And as you said earlier in the show, every time a new manager comes in, he brings his own players in, his own philosophies, and there you go.
The thing I've always said, this, is when you get a team that does really well, it's all about evolution, not revolution. And what I mean by that is that the best teams, look at Liverpool under Slot. Slot walks in, he's got a fantastic team. I think they bought 1 player.
Yeah, and then this season they bought a shitload, and look at them now.
And look at them.
They're in disarray.
They're not in dis. I mean, wouldn't you love to be fourth and in disarray? Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
I get your point of view, but yeah. You know, I was sitting with one of my governors today, and he was on the phone talking about last night. There were Arsenal season ticket holders, and he, you know, bemoaning it, and I just chirped up, yeah, it must be tough at the top. And then he looked at me and laughed, and the geezer on the phone said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm with a West Ham fan." You know, I'm not saying we're cornering the market on misery, but don't sit there and start bemoaning the fact that you're 6 point clear at the top of the table and we only got a 0-0 draw at Liverpool. Fucking gutted for you.
Is Nuno? Is he the right? He's proven that he's not the right man for the job, but he should be, shouldn't he? I mean, all right, he's got a mishmash of players, and he's made he's stressed enough that we've got to, whenever I hear him say we've got to rebalance the squad, my interpretation of that is these ain't my players. I can't do anything with them. They're not the right fit for what we need.
But this is the thing, isn't it?
Potter's bring in new players.
Potter comes into the team, they're not his players, they're Lopetegui's team. Yeah. He goes about changing it, but gets the bullet. Yeah. And then we bring in Nuno. Nuno now has to deal with Lopetegui's play. Well, Moyes players, Lopetegui's players.
Lopetegui, Potter.
Or players. Yeah. They're not his team. He does the best with them, but he's always got to get out. Well, it's not my team, is it? I'm trying to do the best with the tools you provided me. Now what he said was go out and get me. Where I do raise my eyebrows is that West Ham's problems are at the back. And they have been for years or forever. You know, only 2 Premier League seasons have we ever had a positive goal difference. That's your lot. So we've had 31 Premier League seasons now, West Ham, and only 2 have been positive goal difference. So therefore the problem is generally at the back. And he goes and spends £50 million on strikers. Strikers who I would have argued that until the people said West Ham were buying them, none of us, maybe apart from Adam Leatherbarrow, but I think he plays a lot of FIFA, I'd ever heard of. Yeah. Because I don't pay really attention. I watch German football, that's it. You know, I don't know who's scoring 10 goals in 15 games in
yeah. It's funny because when the names come up in the transfer window, I do my research on that day and go, this is what I know.
Yeah,
because I would never have heard of them before. I heard of Castellanos before because we were in for him about 3 years ago.
Well, there you go.
We were linked to him.
To be fair, still, we've probably been linked with half of Europe now.
Yeah, we have. But mind you, Pablo was the first time I heard we were linked to this time round.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Who'd ever heard of him? I'd never heard of him.
I hadn't heard of him.
You know,
and the irony is, you know, where did he come from? Gil Vicente, Portuguese.
I've never heard. Listen, let's get this right.
I've never heard of the club. Yeah,
I've never heard of the team.
Do you know how much they paid for him before they sold him to us? 250,000 euros.
Blimey.
And we bought him for whatever it was. They bought him for 250,000, and not that long ago. I think it was only about a year or 2 years ago.
£250,000, yeah. And we've paid what we paid for him.
I don't know what I can't remember now, but it's in the millions.
Right.
It's in the double figures.
Who's his agent?
Someone called Mendes, I think. Or he knows him. He knows him.
He's
linked to him. He's linked to him. Yeah. It smells, doesn't it? It smells. It smells.
Funny.
It smells. Absolutely, it smells.
You know, and then it's funny, you know, because when Nuno was at Wolves, he brought a lot of Portuguese players in, didn't he?
He sure did.
Yeah. Now,
he sure did.
No, he's the bloke that brought Jota into English football. You know, I think their keeper's fantastic. Love Sarr. I think he's a great player. You know, there is something funny, and it stinks. And the funny enough, that smell seems to have followed Nuno round. Because coming on today for Leverkusen was the striker that Forest had bought. Yeah, I think he was a Brazilian or whatever, and he's not played since the day Nuno left. Yeah,
only at West Ham, Nigel,
and they'd only bought him in the summer. Yeah, and they've already shipped him out on loan to Leverkusen.
because he couldn't hack it, could he? Yeah.
In,
So I think we're kind of saying that maybe you're on the fence about Nuno.
listen, the funny thing is,
Look, it should be doing.
I liked him. Yeah, I liked him
I
as a
like
manager.
him. I liked him, but I'm not sure.
But and the thing is, yeah, is I'm not journalists. I can respect journalists. The reason why I try and listen to what real journalists say and respect them is they will go and watch every team. All I see now is 5 minutes on Match of the Day.
Yeah,
that's it. So, and I'm making my judgment on Nuno based on the games that I've seen against his teams. And Wolves, funny enough, nicked a few results against us when he was manager.
Yeah, they did.
Specifically when they had a Dharma Traore playing. So and his Forest team were very good against us as well. So you'd think, well, you know, it was a goalkeeper. What's wrong with that? Lacks a tactical brain. What's wrong? Why do people think goalkeepers have not got tactical brains? I tell you, I had this argument, yeah, as a player, and I pointed out to him, hold on a minute, yeah. You tell me what position on the football pitch sees the whole game.
Yeah, goalie. Obrigado. Nigel used to be a goalkeeper, by the way.
I saw the whole game. I knew who won the ball, who lost the ball, who was out of a position, at what time, yeah, when the opposition nicked the ball off of my defenders and went on through me to score. So when they all looked at me and went, why didn't you fucking save it? I would go, hold on a minute. Fucking Shandy had the ball with no one and fucking passed it over and he fucking gave it away. So if he hadn't fucking gave it away, I wouldn't have been able to look like a mug out of position. Yeah. Yeah, out of position.
No, but you're right. Yeah, a goalie sees the whole game.
The whole game.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, I just think what I do. There's a part of me that says that he could find a way of getting us out of this, but he's basically insisting that he needs virtually a whole new team. I mean, we're not going to get it. We'll get a couple of more players. But that might be enough to shift the balance. He's brought in a couple of strikers. He'll bring in a defender. He seems hell-bent on bringing in another keeper because basically he's told Hermansen he can go. So if he brings in maybe 5 players, another.
But can you? And now you're getting down the veins of what we're talking about. As a club, yeah, with the doubts, yeah, and here's the thing. What if you spend 60, 70 million pound in this window, bearing in mind we've done 50 already, so that's not out the realms, yeah?
Yeah, it'll be a couple of loans, Nigel.
Right, well,
that's what I'm looking at.
Still with loan fees and everything, so we could still be looking at a 60 million pound bill, yeah, on a man that possibly in 5 to 6 weeks' time
could be gone.
If he gets the results that I would be predicting, seriously, the club would be looking at removing him.
Yeah, you're right. And then we'll go through that process again.
At the end of the day, if the club go down, this is going to burn this team. Yeah, this is going to burn this team. For the reason is that these. We all know now the club got burnt in the past, so these owners ain't stupid. They make sure in their contracts there's relegation clauses. Now, a lot of the time, players like Paqueta and all that, Paqueta and all that, they'll gladly put in a relegation clause because they never think it'll happen. Yeah, well, it will, won't it? So when their wage packet gets cut by 50%, how many of them are staying?
Well, here's a question now I can go to linked to that because Ian asked earlier on, I'm going to be controversial. Would you sell Bowen now and take good money or risk losing him for half his value if we go down?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't sell him now. I would cling to the hope that he stays.
I was having a chat with a mate during the game. I think it was Paul Peters, and I think he said, I don't think Bowen will go. I think he might stay and give us a year in the Championship in order to go, look, I'm captain of this team. I'm part of the reason why we've gone down. Do you think he'd stay?
I think there is. I think because of not the thing. I think because he's ingrained so much in the area with his family as well. Because obviously, he's not just he's not married just anyone. He's married like an East End girl, isn't he? So, and East End girls like to stay close to home. Believe me. I can, and here's the thing: if he don't go to the World, if West Ham go down and he don't go to the World Cup, he's going to look at. He'll be 29.
He'll be 30, and he'll go. That was my last chance of an England.
Right. So, what's the point in moving on?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. If he doesn't get picked for the England squad, I totally and utterly 100% agree with you.
I think if he's in with a shout of going, and it's possible that maybe he would then move.
Yeah, but if he's within the shout of going, whether we go down, mind you, the squad will be picked at the end of the season, won't it? Yeah. So, yeah, my gut tells me that unfortunately for him, I don't think he'll get picked for the England squad. I think he'll be overlooked, and I think you're absolutely right. And with that, I think he'll go. If we go down, I think he'll say.
Tuchel's been pretty loyal to people that he's picked. Yeah, but the only thing with Bowen is he's in a position where the country's quite well stocked. So Tuchel's got an easy justification to leave him out.
Yeah. I of course, we all want him to go. I think over the years, I think he'll do well. He'd be an asset to the England squad if he does go. But if he doesn't get picked, I think he'll stay at West Ham next season. I can see that. I can see that happening. Then you got to ask, and what I put up on the image there is, you've got to ask about the captaincy. Has it damaged him? Has the captaincy damaged what he can bring to this team?
Do you know, it's hard in a way because you got to have that mentality in you. It's one thing to be a talented football. What we're asking the captain of the football club is to be a leader of men, and to you're the man that has to go to the referee and plead our case on the pitch. You're the man that has to rally the troops. Now, we all in business come across people that can do that, and we all in business come across people that can't do that. They're fantastic at their job, yeah, but they're quiet, unassuming. They get on with their job, yeah. That don't mean they're bad. That don't mean that they lack a certain thing. But when the push comes to shove, time and time again, the fan base looks at where the people, the captains we've had in the past would have been at the forefront of things. And Bowen's not there to be seen. The Ollie Scholes mistake, for one. The captain should have been the first one to be wrapping his arms around him and going to him. This is on us, mate, not you. Yeah, don't
take that collective responsibility.
Exactly right. He says the right things when he's in an interview, but he doesn't interview well because he's possibly not that type of person. He was never that type of person before he became captain. The reason he became captain is not by default, Declan leaves and you're looking around. Ideally, the person that is that type of man is Souček.
Yeah.
Souček is a leader of men.
Yeah. And he's proven it on international level.
Not the best footballer, but what he does is he gives you 100% and he will stand up and put himself and he would lead by example in taking the gifts, the talent that he's got, which could be limited, and giving 100% to what he's been given, not holding back. And he will be there and put his body on the line, and that's what you ask as captains. I won't use it as a criticism of Bowen. He's not that type of person. He's a different mentality. You can look at him. Billy Bonds wasn't the most gifted of footballers, yeah, but by Jesus Christ, people would follow him running through brick walls.
Yeah,
you know, because you know he would stand up for you. Yeah, that when push comes to shove, like Trevor Brooking, yeah, Brooking was all the skills, isn't it? You know, a tough tackle on him might see him out the game. What did Trev do? Trev didn't think, I'll get you back. He went, Bill, he's kicked me. Well, I'll sort him out.
Bill will sort him out.
Yeah. I'll sort him out, Trev. You know, and that's the thing that is not in Bowen.
Yeah.
That there.
Is that affecting us? I mean, you know, people have mentioned the whole thing about Skulls, and people have mentioned the thing about Paqueta when Bowen should have been there to try and calm him down, etc. Is him being captain affecting the team, or is it more than that?
No, I don't think it is affecting the team. I don't.
Is it affecting him directly though? I think it is. I think the pressure's on him. I think
maybe, yeah.
You know,
I'll tell you what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we are questioning his leadership abilities that affects him. The fact that the thing we're told is players are aware of social media responses now. They do the things, whatever.
He actually even said that. He alluded to that in his last post-match interview.
So what might be affecting him is the fact that fans question his leadership ability.
Yeah.
That's hey, we've got 6 days a week to fill, haven't we, for content before the football?
Of course we have.
What we're going to talk about?
Got to keep people happy. And so there's something if we can't talk about, I agree. All right. What else should we talk about? We talked about Nuno. We talked about whether we can survive Bowen, and we talked briefly about players leaving.
How about this then? Because a few people, one thing we had a laugh with on the podcast was, so you get rid of Nuno, yeah. Who do we bring in? So do you want to throw some names in the hat?
Well, I'll throw the names that have been thrown out. They're not ones that I would.
He's maybe a bit random, yeah. So
go on.
We did talk about Harry, yeah. Then I came up with, what about if we pair him with Sam Allardyce?
Oh.
So we get Harry and Sam back. Yeah.
Why
Harry
would you want to do that?
Well, you get Harry to do the forwards, bring the players in, a bit of dealing and everything. Sam can sort out the defence. Yeah. And it'll be fun. Now the listeners played along. Yeah, because we had some great come up. What about Di Canio?
No, fuck no.
Why?
Absolutely no. He's mad as a box of no. He's mad.
All this is interim manager.
You remember him on the sidelines at Sunderland?
Still, how fantastic would it be? We're going down, mate. Yeah? We're going down. Sack Nuno. Let's go down with a blaze of glory. Wow. Fucking hell. Let's get Di Canio in. Yeah, go on. Kick.
God no. I mean, a lot of people have said this, Noble and Di Canio together. And like, no.
I wouldn't have no.
Or Di Canio and Slav with Dick as a coach.
What about that? What about that? There you go.
Absolute chaos.
No, why not still? And this is the thing I say to you. Why not? We're going down. Let's have a bit of fun. Be fun.
Have a bit of fun.
Be fun.
Well, I guess it will be entertaining more off the pitch than it will be on it. There'll be chaos on the pitch.
Goals are fun still, and that's why we're fucking miserable at the moment.
Because we've got a lot of going in against us. Look, I mean, there's the obvious names. There's like someone mentioned here, Nolan. People are still talking about the one thing I said in the last show I did was we got to get it out of our heads that it has to be someone linked to West Ham. It doesn't. People are still talking about Will Still, who I keep telling you all. Will Still was average in the French league,
He's
did
done well at
fuck all
Southampton.
in the Championship, and people are going, yeah, but he's West Ham. Well, so what? You know, it doesn't always mean. I get it. I get the history and wanting to keep it. Here's a good one actually. Here's a good one. Kevin Keane.
Oh, do you know Kevin Keane? Yeah,
Go
do you
on.
know the fantastic, great stat about Kevin Keane?
And not Bellamy for me, by the way. I know
Yeah.
he's got 100% record. Is that
Kevin
what you're
Keane,
coming out with? Yeah,
100% record of what?
because he's not been in charge of a game. Is that
He's
correct?
managed West Ham on 3 separate occasions
And he hasn't
lost
played a
all
game.
3 games. Yeah, and lost all 3 games.
Oh, lost all 3 games.
Yeah, lost all 3.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. All right.
And, look, all right. So it'll only be an interim manager, innit? So who would be good?
It would. It
Who
would.
be
Well,
good
here we go. Harry
What-
and DiCanio.
There you go. It would be good interiming. Oh, David Pleat, he was interiming, wasn't he? Oh no, sorry, that was something else.
Carrick. I don't think Carrick would be the right one either.
Why not?
I'm looking at the record. I guess I'm looking at longevity, and I'm looking at what Carrick did at Middlesbrough, and good, but not good enough. Which means
the thing about Carrick now is that you think he's doing a good job, and then they sack him and bring another bloke who we've never heard of, and that bloke does even better.
Yeah,
and it's the funny thing that we're finding out about Brentford now, and that Spurs are finding.
Yep.
Have Spurs done a Chelsea and Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all knew that Brentford and Brighton's owners were mates. Yeah, were gamblers, and hot analysis with algorithms as well thrown in. Yeah, so we knew that they both built their clubs off of the same things. And what's happened in an exact mirror image? They get managers to bring them up. Brighton with Chris Hughton, Thomas Frank. Though at Brentford, obviously they lost the manager before Frank, wasn't it? It was Dean Smith who went to Villa.
Yeah,
because he was a Villa fan. Dean Smith did really well at Brentford. He leaves. They promote Frank from within, I believe, and he gets them into the Premier League, despite the fact that they'd sold Watkins, they'd sold Ben Rama. I think they'd sold another player the year before. Yeah. So they'd sold their best players 2-3 years running, and they still find this gem. Everybody goes, hey, Thomas Frank, fantastic. Yeah. Thomas Frank goes to the Curse. Yeah. Leaves them, goes to the Curse club. And appoints Keith Andrews. Even me, at the start of the season, I'm going, I predict West Ham were going to go down. I said it, I think, in April. We're in trouble next season. It ain't this season I'm worried about. It's next season I'm worried about. But with Frank leaving, I thought Keith Andrews coming in, maybe Brentford are the team. Famous last words. So while I can take claim I went early on West Ham, the other team I thought we'd be fighting relegation are sitting 2 points off Champions League.
Yeah.
But Brentford, because people looked at it and thought, oh, why would they give Keith Andrews jobs? He spent a couple of years on Sky, and he was the long throw coach or whatever he was. Yeah, set pieces. And Jesus Christ, so what does that tell you about Thomas Frank? I mean, the man can't even have a cup of coffee without fucking it up.
And let's not forget, West Ham fans were saying he's the man for West Ham.
Yeah.
A lot of West Ham fans were saying that. Sometimes, either you come unlucky, you take a job that just ain't right for you, or sometimes you hit your peak. I don't know what it is with Frank, because maybe when he leaves Spurs and he goes to West Ham, it might be better for him, as an example. Sometimes there are clubs, or there's certain situations where a manager can do really, really well at one club and do awful at another. And then we've got to look at Moyes as a prime example. His career was nowhere, and he came to West Ham. He resurrected his career, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, he did okay at Man United. The funny thing about it was when he only had Alex Ferguson to compare against.
Yeah, I mean, hardly anything really.
So there's nothing. When you compare Moyes to the shower that's followed him, it's actually people go, "We didn't do that bad then, did he?" Brandon Rodgers is that the lead singer of a group? Brandon Rodgers. So
Isn't he gone abroad though? I thought,
Brendan,
Brendan
yeah,
Rodgers
that's
in
it. Brendan
Saudi.
Rodgers is in
Yeah,
Saudi.
Brandon. Yeah,
Yeah, but he didn't say
probably his younger
Brendan, did
brother.
he? He said Brandon. So maybe it's his nephew or something. Funny enough.
I genuinely don't know. I get your point. We're going down, so why not just go for it?
Isn't it? Look how bad football is. Yeah. Brendan Rodgers leaves Celtic. Yeah. So they bring in Martin O'Neill. Martin O'Neill gets Celtic back near enough level at the top of the table, wins in Europe, gets them to the final of a cup competition. They then bring in a full-time manager. Martin O'Neill steps back. They lose the cup final to St Mirren. They get beat in Europe. They lose against Hearts. End up 6 back again. And it gets to the point where the bloke wins 1 game in 8, and they have to go back to Martin O'Neill and say, March, actually, Martin O'Neill is a semi-retirement, working on Talk Sport at the age of 74.
And he's still better than,
It's back in management. It is mad. Look at the bloke at Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Chris, right. Here's a bloke. He's managed other clubs. Shit. Yeah. Sheffield United have other managers. Don't do well. He walks into Sheffield United. He takes a group of players to the verge of the top flight. I think they got 90 odd points, didn't they? The top 2 got 100 odd points. They got 90 odd. Didn't win in the playoffs. They sack him. They bring a bloke in. They can't win a game. They sack that bloke in, and they're top of the table form. So they're storming up. There's a good chance they'll make the playoffs. Where when he took over them, only Sheffield Wednesday were worse than them.
Well, then does that mean then that should we bite the bullet then and get rid of Nuno now and try and get that bounce from whatever manager?
Well, the funny thing is Nuno didn't get a new manager bounce, didn't it? Did he? We didn't get the new manager bounce really.
No, we didn't. But third time lucky.
Who's that? Realistically, all right. All jokes aside, now, who is out there?
People are. I mean, people are talking about Carrick. People are talking about Ginger Rogers. People are talking about Carrick. People are talking about even though Harry has said,
I'll do it for
West
nothing.
Ham haven't approached me, but I do it for nothing.
Yeah.
Would you?
He's 78.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 79 in March.
Yeah. How long has he been out of football for?
No, look,
but even if let's say it is only till the end of the season, would you bite that bullet? Would you go sod this for a laugh? We're not happy. We might as well go out.
End of Feb, I will.
Isn't that too late? Way too late.
But that's the point of it. This is what I'm saying.
Because it will be too late. Right.
Once it's too late. If you're not going to keep him into the Championship, Nuno, and I think actually I'm not sure when we go down.
Oh, hang on. Nuno brought Wolves up with one of the highest tally of points.
But he didn't
I did a show the other day, and I said the irony is, if West Ham went down, Nuno is likely to be the kind of manager that West Ham would go looking for, because that's what they've done before. It'd be a manager that can get them back up. And ironically, Nuno is.
Neil Warnock's available.
Oh fuck!
No.
We really are fucking scraping the bottom of the barrel, aren't we? Really.
I do a podcast the other day, and they talk themselves pretty well. Pulis and Mick McCarthy, get them in as a double act.
You really are going back in time, aren't you? Fucking hell.
What is an outside, I didn't. What about Roy Keane?
Well, he didn't succeed in football either, did he? You know what we were talking earlier about leadership and about
he took
certain
Sunderland
players.
from the bottom of the Championship into the Premier League, all in a year.
I don't know. Sometimes I look at certain individuals. Maybe I'm just too.
Let's face
Maybe
it. It might
I'm
do
too
us a
practical.
favour, yeah. If he crashes and burns with us, even worse. At least it might shut him up on the fucking telly a bit. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's a lot. Here we go. We've gone from Brandon Rogers to Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. There you go.
Carrick would be an interesting choice, but I just don't know if Carrick would achieve getting us back. Because what will happen is that the club went down. Like you said, if it's February and we've got no chance of staying up, and you're going to go, what the club will do is they would, I guess they'd look at it and go, all right, we're still in the Premier League, but we're down. That's it, over and done with. We need to now start building for next season. So they'll be looking at a manager that will be able to get us back up. So that's why I question the likes of Carrick. I'm not sure. Maybe, but maybe not.
Let's have a look then. All jokes aside, so if you look at some of the managers that have come up recently out of the Championship, there's one manager doing really well, funny enough, but he ain't going to come to us, and that's the bloke at Ipswich.
McKenna.
Yeah. Kieran McKenna was coach at Man United or whatever, goes to Ipswich. Finally, Ipswich were the longest serving team in the Championship, I think. Gets them up. Well, didn't he get them out of Div 1? Because they actually tell a lie, they were the longest serving team in the Championship before they fell into Division 1. Fell in Division 1. It gets them up, and I think within 2 or 3 years they're in the Premier League. So don't get sacked when they go down. And he's got them. They're possibly the team that's going to come second to Coventry, Ipswich. So if you look at a manager like him, I mean, look at Rob Edwards. Rob Edwards got Luton up, yeah. Got sacked from Watford, went into Luton, got him in the Premier League.
But this is what Wolves have now done. What Wolves are planning for next season.
That's it, right? And
they got him and said, "We know we're going down. We want you to stay with us too."
The thing about Wolves and him now, he was managing, wasn't he? He had them at the top, didn't he? Who was the team he was managing that was at the top? It was Middlesbrough, wasn't it? He left Middlesbrough.
Was it Middlesbrough? Yeah.
It was Middlesbrough. So he had Middlesbrough firing because it was them and Coventry that were sort of running away with the league. He then leaves and goes to Wolves. Obviously, he comes into a club down, not doing really well. Well, they're abysmal, sold all their best players. We know the drill. And if you look, though, at the way Wolves are playing now, he's brought in that 18-year-old who had a fantastic game. They got a draw against Man United. They beat us. They got another draw. This kid's got 2 goals in 5 games, 18-year-old. And he's starting him. He ain't bringing him on. He's starting him.
Yeah. And he gave us a sorry time.
Yeah, he gave us Marne.
Yeah, Marne. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and the thing about Edwards is, he was a Wolves player, so he knew the club and he loved the club. It realistically, out of the people out there at the moment, as he says, I think Slaven and Julian, because they'll come as a team. Yeah, if Slaven got the West Ham job, I'm telling you, he's bringing Julian with him.
You'll bring him with him,
and I think he got a raw deal when he got sacked. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I looked into the season when he got sacked, and his record. It was really bad. But
we just got Liverpool 4-1, I think, when we sacked him.
Yeah.
Because I always remember getting beat by Liverpool.
He got sacked after 11 games.
Yeah.
In that season, and the point tally he had is as bad as what Nuno had after our first 11 games.
Yeah.
Under Nuno.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. There were certain managers over the years where we sacked who I think could have probably have been all right if they just kept them on. And I think Slaven was one of them. I think, I don't think we would have got relegated. That he would have turned it, found a way to maybe have turned it round. But Slaven could be a good choice, and bringing Julian Dixon with him. Fuck me, the players that don't give 100% will soon learn. They've got to give 100%.
You know, the funny thing is, Maresca's been at the club before, but I don't think he would. Now Maresca's looking upwards, not downwards, after his time at QPR, because we've undoubtedly he can point at. He put 2 trophies on the cabinet. Yeah.
Would Maresca come to West Ham if we go down though?
I'm not. I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, but Bilic is West Ham's 3rd most successful Premier League terms of side. What's PPH? Is that
PPH? Yeah.
Points per hour? What? What's?
He'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah. He will. Yeah. I'm not sure. Now I'm going to get my stats up. So let me find my manager stats. Phil, normally this is where someone will play a bit of music,
background music.
All right, managers' records. Are you ready? I've not updated it with the Nottingham Forest game, I must admit.
Okay.
So here we go. What do you want to know about managers?
Well, when we find out what PPH means, points per game. So, sorry, typo. So
right,
it's points per game, not points per hour.
Game. Right, Bilic.
Yeah,
1.41 points per game. Yeah. Short reign though. Yeah. So Moyes was 1.46. What did he say was 3rd?
3rd best.
Yeah.
In the Premier League.
Ask him then. Who were the 2 above him?
Come on then. 2 above. Well, I think we can guess. Moyes has got to be up there.
Moyes is, and that's the thing. Why I want to say
Premier League. Who would have been? Who would have been?
No one. Right. This is what I've got. Premier League. Yeah.
Go on.
Harry was 1.20. Glenn Roeder 1.18. Pardew 1.12. Kerbishy 1.18. Zola 1.12, Grant 1.13, Allardyce 1.13, Bilic 1.41, Pellegrini 1.28, Moyes 1.46, Lopetegui 1.2, Potter 1.13. Nuno's is going to drop lower because I've not updated it with the Nottingham Forest game. Bilic's record, he conceded 1.59 goals per game. I think his average 38 game Premier League points tally is 50. His win ratio was 34.48%. That stacks up pretty well.
And as Marky has just said, sounds like all our managers have been shit.
They have. And this is, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, I'm going. Yeah, this is where whatever word, insert your own word of David Moyes, yeah, becomes more like self-inflicted harm by everyone, fan base, the club, David Moyes themselves, because when you look at David Moyes' record against everybody else's, yeah, average points per game 1.46. That's the best, yeah. Goals conceded in the Premier League, Allardyce has the best record, 1.32. Yeah, Moyes is 1.53, which is not as good as Zola's, Kerbishy's, but what you got to remember is Moyes managed far more games than these people. Average wins per season, yeah, which I like. Moyes was 14.6, far and away the best. Well, not far and away, but the best up there, along with Pardew, who only did.
The whole thing with Moyes is, you're right to say that everyone kind of is partly to sort of blame for him going, including himself, because he could have made his life a lot easier if he'd
Yeah.
done. When you look at, we talked earlier about, no revolution in a squad. It's much better to have an
Yeah.
evolution. So you're only buying a couple of players each year to freshen it up, because that's all you should need. And that's the mistake Moyes did. I think that's the mistake he did over time. We ended up with the oldest squad in the Premier League because he didn't keep
Yeah.
freshening up in the right way.
Yeah. So some of what we got now, some of what always happened now, is the overrang because of Moyes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, the funny thing about it is, as Market Boy says, I wanted Moyes gone basically last season, was conceded a ridiculous amount. Yeah. But here's the thing. Maybe Moyes would have refreshed the squad and made it better. I mean, this is nonsense when people say Irvine was the X factor for Moyes, because it's just not true. Moyes had, it's hard to say really, isn't it? Because he had the 6th place finish, 7th place finish, finishes 14th, which ain't bad for West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the thing we seem to forget. I'm great with my stats. So if is it this stat? So right, here we go. West Ham's average Premier League season. Yeah. So across every game that we've played and every season, when converted into 38 games, yeah, West Ham's average is 12th position, winning 12 games, drawing 10, losing 16. On average, we score 47 goals a season and concede 55, getting 47 points. David Moyes' average points per season in the Premier League is 53. 6 points above West Ham's average.
But this is
the Moyes stats. And the thing about this is on paper. And the one thing I do say is football ain't paid on paper, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But when you look at the stats, Moyes, and this is why journalists will write articles for years, was why what is the moment it went wrong for West Ham? And why was it? Why were we the club that sacked a man that won us a trophy after 42 years, though we didn't sack him? People that really wanted Moyes out will then say, he didn't sign the contract when they offered it to him. Yeah, totally ignoring the reasons why he didn't sign the contract.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when was it offered to him? It was a new contract wasn't offered to him when he won the trophy. No, it was offered to him 6 months later at Christmas when he had to sit in 3rd or 4th in the Premier League. He then lost. He then had the cheek to lose 3 games on the trot, and at which point, because he hadn't signed the contract, West Ham withdrew it because he lost 3 games on the trot.
And we got to give the reason, and I'm sure a lot of people know why. The reason why he didn't sign it straight away was because the contract had changed, or to do with Stydon, because he was told you're going to be a coach, you weren't going to be a manager, you weren't going to be responsible for. And as you said at the start of the show, the whole thing about Moyes was he's an old-fashioned manager. He did things in a particular way, and I think
at the end of the day as well. And it's the thing, yeah. The role of the fan base had in it as well. As I said about the
look, I'm with you. I'm with you. I get a lot of criticism for it.
Yeah, I know. They can criticise me. The Moyes out banner wasn't in his last season. Yeah, it was in the season we won the trophy.
It happened before we won the fucking trophy.
Yeah, we all know when the rumbling started. Yeah, it started because he didn't have us in the top 6 or 7 in his 3rd season. Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that maybe it wasn't it's not to say we're not advocating that we should have kept him, because maybe it had come to a point where, the football was getting a bit bad, etc. But there could be reasons for that as well. If he didn't think he was being backed, if he didn't think he was being appreciated, then as a manager, his approach was going to drop off, which would have impacted on the players. And I've never advocated that we should have kept him, but I think
I'll tell you now, if I'm running the club,
Mhm.
he gets a new 3-year deal the moment we win that trophy.
We win that trophy. Show the intent.
No, and this is the funny thing is, we know it's their MO. They did it with Allardyce. Christ, not that I was complaining at the time, but listen, I've held my hand up time, and I will continually hold my hand up. And if I ever met the man, I'd apologise to him. Yeah, I was wrong, actually. I got blinded by the perception of Sam Allardyce as the long ball manager and everything else. And at the end of the day, yeah, I can look at it now and go, let's face it, Allardyce was the first West Ham manager to play a false 9, and he beat Spurs away 3-0. Yeah. So, and we didn't beat Spurs away with a big striker up front hitting long balls. Yeah, we did it with. It was weird. Ravel Morrison, just Jesse Lingard, sort of became what we thought Ravel Morrison would have been. And the funny thing about it is they were both in the same youth team together. Yeah. Jesse Lingard, Ravel Morrison and Paul Pogba were all in the same youth team that won the Youth Cup, I believe, at Man United. Yeah. And Lingard, out of the three of them, was the third rated player, but he's the one who's had the better career.
Yeah.
I'd have him back. I would. I'd have him back for 6 months. I would. I'd have him back for 6 months. Yeah.
That ship sailed, Nigel.
Maybe, but only because we're in this situation. Let me get this right, yeah? If we weren't in this situation, I wouldn't have him back, but I would now, because I'll take.
Do you think he still can do it?
Yeah, I think for free, he can come on and give us 30, 40 minutes and whatever. I'm telling you, he'd do just as good a job as Callum Wilson. And I don't mind Callum Wilson, to be fair. I think the goals he got against Bournemouth showed the bloke knows where the goal is.
Yeah, yeah. It's a surprise that Nuno, excuse me, I'm going to disappear, but I'm still here with you.
Yeah.
It's a surprise that Nuno,
not a Nuno signing, is he?
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think what it is that Callum Wilson's come in. He feels like he's performing. He's not injured. He's not got an injury. And we all know that he's on a basically bad, not a low-paid contract for a player normally. And what he feels now is that we brought these two strikers in that have never played Premier League football, don't know what it's about, and they're going to be in front of him. So therefore, his game time's going to be down, and his chance to earn the money he thinks he should be earning
is going to diminish.
It's going to diminish, and I think that's what it is. He's looking at it and going, hang on a minute, I've shown my commitment to West Ham by signing a low-paid contract, and I only get rewarded by minutes on the pitch and by goals in the net.
Mistake?
Yeah? What, to let him go?
Let him go?
Big mistake if he goes. He ain't gone yet, so maybe there'll be a change of heart. Big mistake.
Yeah.
Because he's still got something about him. You know, as I said, the goals against Bournemouth showed that he knows where the back of the goal is without looking, because he didn't.
I won't lie to you. I won't lie. When we signed him, I was really against it, and I was like, typical West Ham. But he won me over. With every time he came on the pitch, his endeavour, and the goals he gets, and he's a clever footballer.
Look, he got the same contract that Antonio was offered.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe Antonio should have took it.
But what I saw when you start seeing a player playing for your club, when they play against you, you don't notice how good they can be, if that makes kind of sense. When he started playing for us, I realised the power he has, the movement, the intelligence. You know, he's an established footballer, and the intelligent running. Every time he came on the pitch, his movement was like, this is a proper striker. This is a proper striker. And I'm kind of surprised And I get what you're saying. He ain't Nuno, one of Nuno's men. But I'm kind of surprised that Nuno hasn't looked at him and gone, "You'd do a job for me till the end of the season." You know, maybe bring another striker in, absolutely. But two, it is a shock. It is a shock that Nuno has now become third choice. But and maybe we'll pay the price for that. Because I think Castellanos will get us a few goals. I'm not sure Pablo is ready just yet.
I've heard certain things about those players this week, and I don't know what to start. Yeah, it's strange, you know. Pablo not got less minutes than Castellano. You know, Castellano got straight into the team. Yeah, but Pablo got given 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Strange, you know.
I know where you're going. I know where you, and we talked about this earlier, and then you said, who's his agent, who's he linked to?
Well,
it smells.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is Fulcrew's gone to AC Milan. Not sure.
Good luck to them.
Yeah.
You know what happened?
No.
You know what happened?
Here's the thing about Fulcrew is
it was a slower league, and he'll do.
It's not that, and here's the thing with Fulcrew is, when you look at when he was in Germany and everything, is players like him need wingers, left-footed wingers that can cross the ball on the left, right-footed wingers that can cross the ball on the right. Yeah, that will put balls into the box, that will swing away from the keeper and towards
his head.
Yeah. And that he's playing the wingers that are level with him, so he's looking and running onto the ball rather than. The problem with inverted wingers is they'll run down the wing, and if they've got down the byline, they're going to want to check back. So it's to check back and then put the ball in, and it comes into the box.
But
so
this
they're
is
looking
again,
for the
Nigel,
flick headers.
Yeah, this is again our lack of strategy when it comes to player recruitment. That we're trying to, you know, a lot of people go on about, you know, managers playing players out of position. You know, the problem is we buy players who are not right to fit an 11. Well, they're not complementing each other.
I mean, Obrigado says this ain't the 90s, and this is the thing. I talk about 4-4-2. Yeah. Who would have thought that we're expecting people to score more goals with less strikers on the pitch? But anyway, when you play 4-4-2, you got coverage in. Yes, the problem with 4-4-2, or the reason why it fell out of problem is that your midfield could be overrun, because when you're up against a 4-5-1, so you might get defenders that.
There's a team that've gone 4-4-2 and doing quite well.
Yeah, Leeds
United.
Strangely enough.
Yeah.
Who would have thought you put two strikers on the pitch and they get you goals?
Yeah, I know.
And just see what I'm saying is that when done right, 4-4-2, fantastic, because you got the two strikers on the pitch. If you look at the successes of West Ham in the past, so it wasn't really done with two out-and-out wingers. So we had Devonshire as an out-and-out winger. Now on the right wing we had Jeff Pike. Not really a winger as such. Yeah. We had Mark Ward. Mark Ward was a fantastic winger, but he weren't like Devonshire. Devonshire was, you know, blistering pace. Even when he'd done his knee, he came back. He changed the way he played, but he was still clever enough for his deliveries into the box and his passes for the players to get onto. You know, people are and this is where I can look back and go, well, you know, I was harsh on Allardyce. So you look back to like one of my heroes as a kid, Dave Cross. Dave Cross is your Andy Carroll, isn't it? Dave Cross operated by winning headers, brave man, won headers, could shoot with his feet as well. But he would feed off. So he enjoyed playing with Pop Robson. Pop was the small bloke, yeah? The fox in the box. Cotty and McAvenny. McAvenny was great in the air. Cotty was great on the floor.
You had players that complemented each other. You know, and I just want to go to this point that where's it gone now? Someone just said, "Can we not slag off?" Here we go. That we're not, mate. That's not what we're doing here. You know what we're talking about is what Nigel has just been describing. It's about the fit. Do they fit into this team? And there is a big question mark over Pablo, not because of his ability or lack of ability. We don't know yet, but it's all about. And as other people have pointed out, and we said earlier on, he cost Gil Vicente €250,000 last season, and now we paid something like £20 million for him. There's something not right. So it's not about slagging them off.
Listen,
you know, I hope he does well. But there is.
Said at the time, Nuno's the man that brought Diogo Jota to this country. Who'd heard of him? Yeah, he brought the Mexican to Wolves, who's scoring goals now, still for Fulham.
Jimenez, yeah, guy who scored the winner against us.
You know, so Nuno has got this ability with when he went into football. I don't know who owns Wolves. Wolves became very Portuguese centric when Nuno went into the club, and he teamed up with Jorge Mendes. For those that don't know, Jorge Mendes is the number one football agent in the world. He's like him and Penny Zahavi are the two super agents. So therefore, they can bring in a lot of people. Yeah, they've got the contacts.
They are the classier end of the agents, unlike
you would
Silky.
like to. Well, you say that. Well, you say that.
Well, I didn't mean to say that. If Silky's watching, then I'm sorry about it.
I don't think he is.
No, I don't think he is.
I just think that you know, now's not the time to bring a player like that. Listen, now's not the time.
A big player.
Yeah. Trust me, Pablo. Oh, please, trust me. Do you know the thing about Adam is he'll tell you all the players he knows that are going to be really great. What he'll never tell you is all the players he's recommended that will turn out to be not so fucking great. Yeah. Answer me this. Here's a weird question. Yeah. Why, when West Ham showed these behind-the-scenes videos, they showed a video of Castellano joining the club, and this follows on from a video I saw of Graham Potter joining the club. Why is it when they walk into the analyst rooms, yeah, and there's 3 and 4 analysts sitting around their laptops, are they wearing tracksuits? What are they doing? Well, they're sitting on a computer. It's during the day. They're not out training the team. What they got a tracksuit on for? They're fucking analysing computer programs and algorithms. They don't need a tracksuit. What's all that about?
Well, you know, it's the image, isn't it? I'm trying to big them up. Let's.
That was quite funny. That last one. It was the Colton Cole traditional forward.
It takes 5 minutes to think, but who was our last traditional striker? Carlton Cole.
Fucking hell. Was he a striker?
I don't know. Right, let's finish off with your 10.
We've got to find 10 good reasons to be relegated.
Actually, no. Before we do that, we got a cup run to think about.
Oh, QPR. Yeah, let's do that quickly then.
Let's do that quickly. Now, the last time we played QPR in the FA Cup,
Andy Impey, great player for us, wasn't he?
He was. He was all right.
Yeah, he done well. Right, yeah. I mean, he was playing for QPR that day.
Not on that day. But the last time we played them was 1995. Andy Impey scored the winner. And the last time we played them in the league, it was a 0-0, 2015. Yeah. But you got because of course you would. I've got the ones that I could find easily off the internet.
Well, yeah. So obviously, 75 we played them in the 5th round, I believe. Beat them 2-0. Off the top of my head, 2-0, 2-1, something like that. So we obviously 75 we went on to win the cup. All right, here's a great one. Still, you're gonna love this.
Go on.
So this is when another one from when I was a kid. This was a big thing for me. We drew with QPR it was the 4th round. We drew 1-1 at Upton Park this year. Yeah, right.
Is that the
And it
one?
was Loftus Road. Now, we lost 6-1. Now, what Neil hasn't put, which I was building up to, Neil, was what year it was. And the year was 1978. Those of us that were there in 1978 will remember that year because we got relegated. The good news is there ain't going to be a replay. Yes, we
No, there
drew.
ain't.
We drew 1-1.
So what you're saying that they're going to beat
I
us
remember
6-1
we
at
drew
home on Sunday?
1-1 at Upton Park, and Billy Bonds scored the equaliser. Yeah, so I do remember that. I couldn't tell you much. I know they beat us 6-0, 6-1. It was pretty sure. Yeah, it could be 6-0. That was in 1978. It might have been 6-1. Let's put it like that. But that was in the days where the replays were played 2-3 days later.
Yeah.
And we went on to be relegated that year. And the last home game of the season was against a team whose first letter was L. I mean, it's a bit of coincidence, isn't it? Because our last home game this season's against Leeds.
Yeah. It's written, isn't it? As Leon said here, it's written. It's written.
9,000 QPR fans.
Yeah,
9,000 QPR fans sold out their end. And
apparently they've been putting on social media.
They've been buying up
in the home end.
Yeah, QPR fans have been buying up tickets in the home end. I know a couple. Yeah.
Do we go? How seriously do we treat it? Is this a good distraction or is it a bad distraction given the situation we're in?
Two ways to look at it. There's the new school way of looking at it is we could do without it. Throw the game. Let's concentrate on the Premier League. There's what I would then call the old school way, which is where I see it, is play your first team, win the game. Let's try and remember what it was like to win a game of football.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm thinking both. I think it could be a good thing. I think we go out there, but we've got to. I know QPR ain't doing that well. I've got a mate who's a QPR fan. He said, "Oh, you're going to trounce us," and I went, "Yeah, right. Sure, we are. You know, we can't trounce anyone." But someone said really early in the show it could be a good marker for seeing how we're going to do in the Championship next season. Well, actually, it won't be because half the squad won't be here. But I'm thinking like you. I think. If we beat them, it'll be nice to have that winning feeling again. And if we go on a cup run, it might not be such a bad thing. It might give us that impetus. It might just make us go. We've got something to fight for.
I did this on the podcast, and there's great things. So if we take our relegation years, so let's say we're going down, So in '89, under John Lowell. We beat Arsenal in the third round in a replay. Arsenal went on to win the league that year. There's an omen. Arsenal win the league. West Ham get relegated.
Starting with L at the last game of the season.
Right. So, funny enough, our last game of the season was against a team that began with the letter L because it was Liverpool. We got beat 5-1. But anyway. I forgot there was another one. Yeah, last game. Right. So we got in the FA Cup, we got to the 6th round and we got beaten a replay, the Norwich. That was in the day of where the transfer window shut at the end of March. The FA Cup game was played at the end of March. And on the day we beat them, I remember because I'd only been driving a year. And it was one of the first away games I drove. It's the first midweek away game that I drove to. Normally, I'd had to get a coach. And to find where the Norwich ground was, I had to follow the coaches. So my mate at the time lived across the road from Upton Park. You know when you think afterwards, why didn't we just get the coach? Yeah. So I picked him up from his house. I waited outside the ground till the coaches left. I then followed the coaches to Norwich, parked up in the car park. As we've gone in the turnstile, the friendly policeman told us we signed Frank McAvenny that day. And he couldn't play, but he rejoined us, turned down Arsenal, who won the league, and rejoined West Ham. and we got beat 2-1. So that's the 6th round. So we had a good cup run, went down. If you then look at 2002, 2003, when we went down, we got beat by Man United 6-0. Not good in the 4th round. And then if we go to our last relegation under Avram, again, we got to the 6th round in the FA Cup. That was a mad year, though, because, as I pointed out, Avram won more games in the Cups than he did in the league.
In the league.
So he had 37 games in the league and only won 7. And he played 10, 11 cup games, winning 8. I think he played 10 cup games and won 8. In fact, Avram Grant, when you look at the stats, is
great
like
in the cup run.
Terrible, obviously, in the league, but in the cup, he's one of the best ever managers.
Maybe Nuno can match him, give us a cup run and go down.
So look, for me, as a lot of people said, let's put the first team out.
Yeah. Just give them that chance to feel what it's like to win.
Feel what it's like to win. Feel what it's like to have the fans to cheer them off, not boo them off.
Yeah.
Let's get that back. So then when we go in, so you got Tottenham away, they've got a lot of problems. Yeah. We could nick a point, Tottenham away, maybe even win it. Sunderland at home, different kettle of fish, I know. On paper, everything you'd think would beat Sunderland.
By rights, at home, although they spanked us at their place, if we got a point out of Spurs, and if we get 3 points off Sunderland, the irony is, here's the irony. The 4 games that everyone said they're must wins, we got to win them. The Fulham, the Brighton, Wolves, and Forest. This is the West Ham way, isn't it? This is the West Ham way. We've got 1 point out of those 4 games. We're going to our next 3 games, and we can, the West Ham way is we might walk away with 6 points out of the next 3 games or something like that. That's what happened.
Yeah. That's why the funny thing about that is, though, we'll still be further from bottom.
I know we will, but at least we're closer again.
You'd like to think so. Terry Franks 3772 says Nigel.
Was that, sorry?
Terry Franks 3772.
Yeah, go on.
What?
He's going to ask you something.
Ask me, Tel. You can text me if you want.
Go on, Terry.
I've got the same number.
Oh, he's maybe saying just hello, Nigel.
Nigel.
All right. I think a cup run. I agree with you. I think it would do us the world of good if we can win convincingly. I don't give a fuck that it's a championship team. We got to get that winning mentality back. And if it starts from there, it starts from there. If we scrape by, I'll be worried even more. I don't want to scrape by. I want us to win and win handsomely. And that could be the catalyst. It could just take that sort of thing. That could be the catalyst. Now, let's finish off with the 10. The reason why I want to finish off with it is because when you said it to me as half a joke earlier in the day before we came online, I actually wrote 10 things that I would enjoy being in the championship. You want to hear them? Okay. So first, less tourists, more diehard fans. You might make more noise with 30,000 diehards than you would with 50,000 where 20,000 aren't even cheering. I don't know. Good one or not so good?
Yeah, no, I can see the benefit of that.
And then I don't know. Maybe I'm cheating here because I put number 2, leading to a better atmosphere. Number 3, easier to get in and out of Stratford. No go stop signs. Number 4, a better Wi-Fi connection so I can upload the goals when we're smashing them in the championship. Number 5, more games in the league.
Do you know what, Stel? This is where I go. You've really been hanging around Sean too long.
Sean,
yeah? if you think being relegated is great because you get a better Wi-Fi signal, I'm sorry.
I know.
Sorry.
I know. More games in the league. Number 5.
Yeah.
Now, someone said cheaper tickets away, but that's not always going to be the case.
Actually, that is definitely not the case.
Yeah, because they don't have the cap, do they?
No, they don't. And
So some games will be more expensive.
what you find is some of the clubs against the bigger clubs will increase the prices. So it
Yeah, they
has
would.
been known that there are prices of £40 and £50 for away
Yeah.
fans.
It's going to
There
be interesting to see
it is.
how many away
The,
fans are going to want to go to those games.
the 30. Well, the funny thing is, I think you might find that because of the novelty, yeah, of going to places,
Like Wrexham.
Wrexham, yeah, Wrexham, Cardiff, Swansea, Southampton. Well, we've been to some of these and whatever. Then if only you'd spelled my name right, I'd be even happier. But anyway.
Jesdale, it's the German way. Oh, I fucking learnt this. It's the German spelling K-A-H rather than the Indian spelling K-H.
Anyway, I should keep that because that's a new way to spell my last name. Because you put an R in, and I've never seen it. I've never seen it with an R. Yeah, where was I?
Yeah, we're talking about not necessarily cheaper away tickets.
Yeah, not cheaper because there is no cap. And also, I think that some of the fans might think, it'd be great to go to some of these clubs that we've never been to. Yeah. And also, what you might find is because of some of the smaller clubs, they don't sell out their stadiums. So, I mean, last time, blimey, on my birthday, 7,000 of us went to Coventry. Now, strangely enough, it looks like Coventry won't be in the league, but clubs will sell their seats. So if West Ham are turning up and West Ham can bring 5,000, they'll give us 5,000. The days of only having 2,000, 3,000 tickets, you'll have some stadiums that might be small. You might get, 1,500 to 2,000 allocation. Some of the larger stadiums may say, you look at Southampton. Southampton might say, well, we know West Ham can bring 4,500. Let's give them 4,500.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the money.
Yeah. So no prima donna big earners they'll all be gone.
Yep.
I
like
actually
that. Yeah.
seeing us winning more games.
Yeah.
Getting that winning mentality back. And being at the top of the table rather than looking down, and maybe
now you're being a bit presumptuous, aren't you?
I am being presumptuous because a lot of people are saying that we might not even survive the championship.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it all depends on who's managing it and so on.
All jokes aside, still, right? Honestly, right? And I know it's a thing. If I said to you, look, it's just for 1 year, yeah, that's it. We'll come straight back up. How would you like League One? We've never been there.
I don't want to go there. Oh no, you don't want to go there.
What? Come on, still. Wouldn't it be great? Do you know what?
It won't be great. It'll be awful. It'll be
I've done quite a few non-league games this season, and it's brilliant. And you think, just imagine West Ham in League One.
Can you imagine if we're in League One and we're still in the stadium? We barely get 20,000 people. That includes the away fans.
Come on. Going to Cambridge United. Orient. We'll have an East London derby. What about that? Or
no thanks. No thanks. And Mancunian Hammer has just nicked my last one. No VAR.
There you go.
No VAR. You said it a long time ago. It'll ruin the game, and you're right.
The football, and this is the thing. Look. I don't want West Ham to go down because I don't want West Ham. I want West Ham to win every game. The reason why, if you go football, you don't go to watch them lose. You go to watch them win.
Yeah.
But what sets some of us apart is actually we can embrace relegation. Yeah, we can enjoy it.
I'm trying to think how many relegations I've seen in my lifetime. 4, I think.
You're the same. You're a little bit older than me.
A tad.
So in your lifetime, still, West Ham has been relegated 5 times.
5 times. So
my very first season as a season to get older, I was 7, about to be 8. We went down. So that was 77, 78. And then so now it's the one thing I've always said. We get relegated once every decade since the 1970s.
Yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
here we go.
Here we go.
Still,
Yeah.
we're back on.
We're a year late.
No. Once every decade. So we got relegated in the 70s in 78. We got relegated in the
Okay.
80s in
Okay.
89.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
relegated in the 90s in 92. We got relegated in 03. And in the 2010s, we got relegated in 2011.
We did.
So
Yeah.
while this
Yeah.
current period is the second longest continuous of that we've been continuous years that we've been in the top flight, not Premier League.
Yeah.
It's the longest run we've ever had in the Premier League without relegation, and it's the second longest continuous. So basically, since West Ham got put into the Football League in 1919, only 2 decades have we never been either promoted or relegated, and that's the 1940s, yeah, and the 1960s. There you go.
Cookie. More records.
There you
Here we go. Well, that's what you get with Nigel. You know he's going to give you that history. Yeah, you're right. And this is we're there again. We're there again. Yeah. I mean, look, I'll
We've got
embrace it.
Millwall. Here we go. Someone
Well,
said
we may not. They may get.
Listen, this is Millwall. We know, yeah. They ain't going in the Premier League. They'll fuck up in the. They'll fuck up in the thing. They're going to be there. We know it. The worst thing is they'll probably beat us. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what I actually think, as I said earlier, I think we could, luckily, we've got a great academy. There's loads of kids that are doing really well that actually, instead of you then loaning them out, we'll be taking them. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And good to blood them now and give them that opportunity. Look, I'll embrace it. You know, like you said, we've been there before. And what worries me, what I won't lie, and we'll finish off with this, is what worries me is that because we're not doing so well, and the time that we actually really need the fan base to get behind the team, I get the whole thing with the protests and all that, but what worries me is that we're only getting 40,000 in the stadium at the moment because we're not doing well. I get the whole thing about, you know, people don't like the stadium, people don't like the owners, etc. But wouldn't it be nice, given that it looks like we will go down, just fill that fucking stadium up. Give the lads something. I get why people want to vote with their feet. I get it. But the biggest disappointment, I mean, it was disappointing losing the game on Tuesday night, but the biggest disappointment was only seeing the stadium half full. And that's
right. Well,
do you only support a team when you're doing well?
And here's the thing still, yeah.
Go on.
I didn't go.
No, I know. Yeah.
Now, the reason I didn't go, well, I just think I could have gone if I wanted to. Yeah. I'd long chose not to. I knew I'd be working in Southampton. I knew I'd be up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drive down to Southampton to a day's work, which was going to be outside in the weather. Yeah. Then drive all the way home. Now, as luck would have it, I was home.
That's a very different reason, though.
No. I was home by 6 o'clock still. No, so ain't a different reason.
That's not a good reason then.
Yeah. And I looked at it, yeah, and the last home game I missed, though granted I was ill at the time, yeah, was January last year. Still, it was freezing. The fact
it was Bruno, but I was there.
To drag myself, over to that stadium, watch shite football, probably get beat, as I thought we would. Then get out the stadium, get back home, to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and drive back to Southampton. Do you know what? I'm going to sit and watch it at home. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I get that though.
Now,
you know,
the problem I always used to say is not the thing is when people like me get that attitude, that's when you know the club's got a problem, because I would turn up to an opening of an envelope. I've been there when there was 5,000 against West Brom in some fucking shite cup competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always turned up, don't care, whatever. Now, I get it. You know, if you want to support them, we get all these things right. If you want to support them in the good days, you got to support them in the bad days. But then I would say to those people, please don't ever question my support with this team, because it's gone above and beyond family and everything else. Yeah. Everybody's got a decision to make. The fact that there was only 34,000 in that crowd with no boycott organised or anything should tell you should tell the ownership that's what the fan base thinks of them and their move. Because I'm telling you, at Upton Park, yeah, you'd have had 35,000.
Yeah. Let's finish with that. Yeah. We talked an awful lot about everything tonight, and it's been good, actually. Cathartic. Yep. Look, we're going to try and do these regularly. I don't know how regularly, because I know you're busy. You know, this is my first show since I've had my ops, so my first live show since I've had my. I must admit, I've gotten through it without having to run to the toilet every 5 minutes, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. But we will try and do these regular. But we'll let you guys know. But really appreciate all the comments. Really appreciate all the banter in the chat. And it's been a pleasure, Nigel. It's been really, really good. So thank you. Co-host.
Loved it.
Co-host.
As always, yeah.
Prediction for Sunday. Let's leave for prediction for Sunday.
Well, here's a prediction. I thought it was Saturday, so I arranged my Saturday around football, only to be told by someone who weren't even in the fucking country. Why did I keep saying it was Saturday on the podcast? Because we were playing on Sunday. At which point, I thought, you're an idiot. I'm going to prove you wrong. And then I thought, oh, when did they move it to Sunday?
Oh, mate.
So it now means I have to attend a 1-year-old's birthday party.
Oh, you're going to miss it.
I'm not now.
How have you got?
Because it's on Saturday.
So, what the birthday party is?
My nephew's got one person. No, I ain't going. I'm going football. What's the matter with you? He ain't going to remember me being here. He's one. Fucking hell.
Birthday party for kids are not for the kids; they're for the parents. You don't realise that, do you?
Well, it's for a 1-year-old. So anyway, I'm taking my granddaughter anyway. So yeah, Sunday I'll be there, hand out a few cards. I'm sitting with Mr. Whetstone.
That would be joyous. Yeah. You know what you should do? You know what you should do before you get
take his phone off of him.
Take his phone off him. He'll be lost, won't he? He'll be lost.
Do you know what though? I will say to him, do you know what, Sean? If we go down though, the Wi-Fi will be a lot better.
That's what
and he go, really? I go, well, that's what Stell said.
That's what Stell said. Give me a prediction.
Win 3-1.
We're not even going to keep a clean sheet against the championship side.
No,
we're not, are we?
No,
we're not. Yeah, all right. I'll go with you. I'll go 4-1 because I can't go with 3-1.
All right, okay. I thought I was mad.
Pablo will score a hat trick. There you go. That's fucking mad. Yeah, well, Pablo score a hat trick.
He plays in Spain now, doesn't he?
Look, really appreciated. Really good show. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'm really, really chuffed at the numbers that have turned up tonight. You know, like over at one point we've got 270 watching live, which is, given that I ain't done a live show for a long time, I'm chuffed. So thank you very much, and we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, adios amigos.